Good morning, everybody. It is Tom Daly on the Daily Focus. These are our little quick chats that we have with great friends and just industry titans around. Today, I am so excited that I have one of my great friends in the area that we've known each other for years, Teri Benson of Pando Partners. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for hosting me.
Of course. So on our show, we do, as you guys have kind of gotten a lot of little sort of fireside chats talking about some unique things that I don't even know about, Teri. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. And really, I wanted to let the folks know, I know that you are in the wealth management space, but maybe could you just take a moment and kind of talk about the unique way that you deliver value to your clients?
Yeah, no, thank you. So I am in business in partnership with a dear friend of mine who I've known for many decades, Catherine Miller, my business partner. And Catherine and I are building a private client practice, really a multi-family office type of service underneath the Raymond James umbrella that it aims to serve business owners. So I think different than other advisors at Raymond James or other wealth management firms, we don't also work with business owners. We only work with business owners. And I'll talk a little bit about our unique qualifications and really what gets us excited about that client type. But we're very excited. We bring tax strategies. We do some modeling, some financial modeling for when an owner might consider, possibly monetizing part or all of their business. We help them think about their legacy. So it's really a privilege to sit in the seats that we do and work with business owners that we are privileged to work with. I read a statistic that said 50% of owners will exit their business through no choice of their own. So it's death, it's divorce, it's disagreement with partners, right? It's distress, right? Like there's some type of health issue, like disease or something. So when you put it in that context, I think it's one of those, we advise clients that have businesses that are such a large part of their net worth. We encourage them to think about building the business in a way, or at least putting the foundation in a way where they are acting as if they are exiting. And I hear on the positive side, those I just named some pretty dire, circumstances in which an owner might leave. But on the positive side, with where we are in the cycle right now, right, interest rates have been a bit high. Interest rates are coming down. We expect there to be more deal flow, right? There's a lot of cash on the sidelines, a lot of businesses, a lot of whether it's private equity or large strategic businesses are going to be leaning back into acquisition mode, right? So it could be on the positive side, an owner could get a knock at the door or a call or an email. Hey, would you sell your business for this? And I don't know really how an owner would otherwise know to do that, right? Because there's a net number, net of taxes, net of fees, all of these things. So we really want to kind of, if we're privileged enough, get in early with an owner to help them plan before some type of circumstance might have them looking at, the legacy of the business.
Yeah. And again, we talk about it. It seems so logical, right? So you don't exactly, kind of in general where you want it to be, at least what you want the return to be, but you're not sure where to go. Wouldn't it make sense for somebody to just sort of lay out, hey, here's a winning strategy. Here's what's really going to help you get there. And yet as entrepreneurs, we do tend to rely on our own judgment, and it's worked for us most of the time. Maybe if we're being honest, maybe not always, but it works a lot. So you tend to trust yourself, or you procrastinate. You do all that. You're an entrepreneur. You're all that. We're just a mess, right? That's just who we are. So how do you sort of break through that mentality of like, I'm trying to get it done? Their better self probably tells them, hey, you need some help out here. You really do. How do you get them over the wire into that conversation? Because it sounds like it's hugely personal, right? Really.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And I think it's a matter of, this is so trite, and I don't mean for it to sound, but people trust people they like, right? They want to do business with people they like. So certainly for us in the most successful conversations we've had and clients that we've been privileged to serve, it really started with some conversations, right? Some very top of the funnel conversations around, in some cases, it's just tax, right? We're talking with business owners about, being a business owner, there's a lot of levers you can pull to save on your business taxes, to save on your personal taxes, to save in a way also that kind of sets up for, if you do eventually sell, there's some strategies you can be putting in place years before an actual transaction that can be tax advantaged. So So I think, certainly Catherine and I try to demonstrate our professional acumen and our
Yep.
experience and how we can add value to a business owner. So a lot of times it's through the tax conversation, and then
Mhm.
there, the client's sharing financials with us. We're kind of getting to know each other, and then we'll go as far as doing even just a back of the envelope financial plan, which is what we call a wealth gap analysis for
Right.
business owners. So like as they start to think about their goals personally for themselves, their family, what how much do they need to sell the business for net of
Mhm.
everything, and when, like, what's the timing of that, right? Time value of money. So we can
Right.
get really nerdy about this stuff with the owners that trust us with that information. And again, I think it's a really great way to kind of just build that friendship, build that relationship and that trust along the way, and to serve as
Yeah.
their advisor.
I love that, and I think a lot of folks started out, from the beginning with nothing, right? And now they've grown this thing. They may have even had advisors back in the time that were, very helpful at the time, but now that they're in a different space, they probably need another next elevated level of trusted advisor for them to do the next piece. So that makes a lot of sense. So it's very cool. I love the trusted advisor tact. We all need them. We need coaches, because how can we know it all? We can't, even though we think we do. We can't.
I know.
Um, but you are very passionate about this. I'm kind of wondering how did you sort of just think, my passion is to help these business owners that if I don't, some of them won't return what they really deserve. How did you get into that passionate space?
Yeah, no, it's very much it's my why, as they say, right? So I mentioned before, I'm a daughter of entrepreneurs. My dad
Mhm.
spent the first, he did corporate America, did the grind, and then he realized, and I remember him we talked a lot about life and things. And
Yeah.
I remember when he was making the decision, he's like, I have confidence in my ability to build, a business for myself and, that will provide for my family. And so uh, in his late 30s, he broke out, started his own company with a friend who was an engineer. My mom worked as the CFO of the business, and it was a value-added distribution company. And really, what that meant was it was in security access controls, and it was back in the 80s when in Florida, gated communities were really taking off everywhere. And my
Right.
dad somewhat claimed to fame, and what really helped to boost the growth of the company was he, with Stan, his engineer, they had created like the first universal remote for emergency
That's cool.
services
Yeah.
to be able to get into gated communities, industrial parks, anything that had kind of those private gates.
Mhm.
So at the time, I was building my own career in finance. I was working with institutional clients, endowments, foundations, pension
Mhm.
plans. And I remember saying, I had all these big plans for my dad. I'm like, Dad, you should patent
Yeah.
that. Dad, you should, I'll
Right.
get to it. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
He was busy. He was so like ingrained. He loved what he was
Yeah.
doing. He loved the relationships, with his clients and customers. So it was always like, we'll do it later. We'll do it later. Whatever it
Sure.
was, we will do it later. So it worked. I mean, for the first, 10, 11 years, everything was just, thriving, if you will. And then as does happen, life throws a curveball. And my mom was diagnosed with a terminal illness about 11 years into the business. And so she was
Mm.
obviously a very integral part of the business, certainly in spirit and support of my dad and what he was doing. She passed away not long after her diagnosis.
Mhm.
And really from there, no surprise, my dad was really not quite the same. He didn't have the same fire in his belly. My mom was only 49 when she passed away.
Oh, it's
So
rough.
to pass away, we were they were young parents, so we were older as
Yeah.
kids, but still, to lose your mom, for my dad to lose his wife, and an essential component to his business, it was tough, and
Oh, it's so hard.
we would tell my dad, like, you need, okay, like, now this is the wake up call, right? Once the dust settled
Mhm.
after my mom passed, okay, you're gonna do a will, right? Mom didn't have a will when she passed. We're gonna figure out, like, how do you want the company to play into all of this? And again, I wasn't on this side of the business at that point, so and I don't even know if I could have guided my own father, right? Sometimes people
Mhm.
get too close,
Mhm.
but we didn't know how to, and I don't even know, my dad was, again, that entrepreneurial type, DIY. He's like, I don't need any help. I'll get it done.
Right.
But it didn't get done. Long story short, in my father's case, it didn't get done. He passed away 6 years later. He was
Mm.
only 56. So again,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
they built this thriving business, and thanks to Stan, my dad's his engineering business partner, who was not really a business mind, he was an engineer,
Right.
but thanks to Stan, we were able to at least orderly liquidate the company. So
Yep.
here we had taken this multi-million-dollar business and, sold it for pennies on the dollar in parts. And it was, on a number of levels, it was really difficult to watch my dad's life's work be dismantled that way. So if I can stand in the gap for families or for owners, right, that haven't had or even considered what's next for them personally, like that's fire in my belly, right? That's where I really want to make a difference and be able to engage. The owner or the prospective client, they've got to be ready. I think timing often is everything. But yeah, that's what fuels me, Tom.
In general, with folks that you work with, and again, we've got folks that are probably owning businesses going, gotta call Teri here. This sounds interesting. Or a lot of us are just our friends, right? Practitioners who also get to know their clients pretty well and may know that there's something that needs some help over in their personal wealth side, but we can't help them. So really making those connections, it's how you and I do business, right? We connect the great people that we know so that they can help others, and it just makes a super ecosystem. But in general, for those folks out there, we'd love for them to reach out to you to tell you their story, that you can maybe help them, give some things. What would you say is like the best way to get in touch with you or your partner? Is I know you're active on LinkedIn, but is that the best way?
Yeah, so LinkedIn for sure, but we also have our own website. So the name of our practice is Pando Partners, Pando partners.com. And that really is, the kind of landing page. Obviously, all of our contact information is there. We try to keep, some resources out there for owners and for families that are, kind of considering, like, again, if they're an owner of any kind of like closely held business, we want to have resources out there for them as well. So yeah, pandopartners.com.
Perfect. And I'm going super high tech, learning this StreamYard platform. This is a QR code too. So if you have a phone, that's also going to take you to Teri's LinkedIn page. So that's it, folks. Any other words of wisdom for those? I know things are uncertain now. We're all kind of like, what's going to happen in the next quarter or so? We're all in that space. And at a certain point, you have to kind of shut out the noise and just get back to work. And I think that's what we're doing. But any words of wisdom? I mean, it could be, again, could be businesses of any age, but those folks that have been doing it for a while have they built something, right? It's pretty good. Any words of wisdom about how they should really kind of be looking at whether it's their personal wealth or what they're trying to accomplish while they're out there just cracking rocks and trying to get it all done? Any words of wisdom for owners that, maybe haven't done they haven't participated in the thought process they should yet? Anything that they should do?
I think if I were to be really succinct, I'd boil it down to a mindset. I would encourage owners to consider the mindset of protecting their legacy, right? The legacy of their business, the legacy of the wealth they've built. Protecting that legacy is just as important as the years and efforts that they put into building that business, building that enterprise. And I think if they can, you shift a little bit in their thinking, their perspective. And again, you can't DIY everything necessarily. And so to reach out and find the right advisors, who you can trust and kind of lean on for the experiences that they've already had that they can bring to bear for your particular unique situation.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that the timing could be good right now because a lot of folks, I think, are starting to look very strategically at their businesses going forward, what they're worth. There's all kinds of things out there. The good news is that really I've never found a substitute. I know AI is coming strong, but I found no substitute for an advisor that like, and trust. And I would suggest that if you need help in the wealth management space, Teri Benson's your most definitely your trusted advisor. So Teri, I can't thank you enough. I think you guys get the idea of what Teri's all about. Please reach out to her if you can help. Again, all of those other partners out there, keep networking. I do these things all the time, and I had a blast with this, Teri. Let's do this again soon. Folks, you'll probably see this around, I think, October 10th, just because I have to edit it and go on vacation at the same time. So we're going to be doing that. Teri, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.